It's the 27th of August, and I'm in the home of Fran Hill. Terrible mistake. And we are going to talk a little bit about her first. You were in nursing?
I was indeed.
Now, where did you do your training?
I did my training at Presbyterian Hospital in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Now, at that time, did nurses specialize like they do now?
They certainly did not.
No, so you were a general.
Right.
Bedpans and make beds and the whole nine.
Exactly.
Where was the hospital when you came to Ephrata? Was it where it is now?
It was. I've only been here for like 24 years.
Okay. So it was pretty well developed down in Ephrata. Right. And did you work on the floor, or did you work in one of the specific areas?
Where?
At the hospital here.
At Ephrata Hospital.
At Ephrata.
Oh yeah, I only worked at Ephrata Hospital for about 1.5 years, and I worked on a med-surg floor 3 to 11.
And where did you work before that?
Before that, I have a very checkered career. The 11 years before that, I was an industrial health nurse working in a factory. And
what factory were you in?
It was, it was Chromatex. They made fabric.
Okay, now, wasn't your husband was involved in engineering? We talked about this before.
Right. Well, indeed, he was plant manager at one of the plants.
For Chromatex. So that
not my boss.
Rang a bell. Yeah, that you worked for the same company your husband did.
Exactly.
What was involved in industrial nursing when you were involved in it?
Testing new elements brought into the production process, there were halide things, which are toxic fumes providers. So I tested. I had a testing implement. I tested for those on a regular basis because.
Okay, so you were looking after industrial health.
I was looking at industrial health and industrial safety. I was also looking at people who were injured on the job. So I was.
But a lot of this, what you were doing was research.
It was a lot of reading. I discovered that if you were an insomniac, it is really good to read NIOSH reports.
Oh yeah. Well, now was that the part of the OSHA occupational health that you got involved? Now, let's put it this way: what was your favorite or most memorable part of your nursing career?
Wow. One that I wasn't expecting. Probably my favorite part was as a young nurse. Working in the hospital that trained me for about
And that was which hospital?
Presbyterian Hospital in Philadelphia, and I worked OB. So
okay, now, during that period of time, that can be a very stressful. I mean, they worked you guys to death in those days.
We worked, yes.
I mean, I was married to a nurse for a while, so I know she was from Reading, and they say in the early part of the career, sort of like the doctor's internships, they really
they do. They
take advantage of it.
Yeah, it makes you tougher.
Well,
I recall when during the time we were being trained, there were things that just seemed so primitive that we did. We crushed morphine tablets and added and cooked them over a Bunsen burner and put them into an injectable syringe and injected them. This was before rubber-topped vials.
And those were glass.
Well, they had glass vials then that you broke the top off, but the ones with the injectable rubber tops had things out. They weren't available. There were all sorts of things.
And now, did you with the? So you broke the. Now the syringes, they throw them away. They're one time.
Right, and most of them are pre-filled. It's amazing.
But then were they the ones where you put it in autoclave and used it again?
Oh yeah, all stuff was autoclavable. Yeah, everything came wrapped in.
And you used it over and over and over.
Yeah.
Now, during that time, was there a core belief that kept you going? Something that was fundamental to your existence?
Well, one is written in the contract, and it is do no harm. And I think that is an excellent one. But my own personal one is treat the patient, know the person.
Know the person, right? Know who they are.
Right.
We're in I've just this past week, I had my niece is doing an advanced placement course at Ephrata High School, and she had some books to read over the summer. And two of them were Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and Frankenstein.
Okay.
And I had read those books years ago and knew them well. So I asked her, come talk to me. So she came up, and my first question was, do you know the word eugenics? And she said, no. I said, well, both of those books are about eugenics.
Right.
Or at least Brave New World is
right.
Frankenstein, the whole thing. And so I explained to her what eugenics was, and I said, you kids are going to have to decide on that again. Because, now we can tell if it's a boy or a girl, if it's an, abortion issue, and we can pick and choose who our children are. We must look at the older people like me and make decisions. Can we afford to keep...
Right.
There are a lot of issues which boil down to eugenics, which we're now far enough away from Hitler that we're not scared off anymore. We have to make... There are decisions which need to be made. And some of those decisions are going to fall to the medical profession, and some of them are going to relate to your relationship with the patient. Now, if I come to you and I say, look, can we afford always to know the patient and always to do what the patient wants? How do you respond to these issues which we're looking at now, which might fly in the face of what you believed as a much younger woman?
I would defend it, I think, but I still think that no matter what the patient's wishes are, you need to know the patient. I mean, you need to know this person, and to listen, and if I'm making some of the choices, I'd be really uncomfortable.
Yeah. So Dr. Kevorkian knew his parents' patients well, and they wanted to die, and he provided the means.
He did it, right.
How do you respond to something like that? Again, now you're...
I have very mixed feelings on that, and I don't know that it's something that I could do, but I don't damn him for doing it.
How would you advise a young nurse who found herself in a situation where the patient was wanting to do something which she found morally repugnant? What would her response? How would she communicate with that person?
I think I would advise her to go with her gut. If she was morally opposed to the decision this woman wanted to make, I don't think it's her job to either dissuade her or encourage her. She can certainly be honest with this patient and tell her that she is uncomfortable with the question that she's been asked. I think that, well, at least that's what I would do, I believe. I don't think I would get into a confrontation with the woman about our differences. I don't think it's helpful.
Would it be wise maybe to withdraw and get another nurse who is more in tune with this one? Is there a point? I
think that can be addressed in the conversation with the patient. It's not.
Is that a practice? A judge will recluse themselves if they are, if they have an interest.
I don't know whether in ethical situations that's a practice. I would hope it would be.
That in an ethical situation, you would remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah, but I don't know that's necessary. But I don't think that, you don't want to become confrontational with a patient. You're there to help them.
And advise. And then possibly just say, well, that's your choice, but I would think differently.
Yes, you could say something like that.
Okay. I didn't mean to put words in your mouth.
Well, you did.
I did. No, it interests me because we're getting to the point where a lot of moral decisions are going to have to be made in the medical profession.
It's true. We have a lot of them to make now.
And when I was in the hospital for 5 days, and you know, the nursing staff was my only real contact. Actually, more the LPNs than the RNs.
Right, the RNs are
They're
doing
too
other
busy.
stuff now.
I mean, they were good. They did come on.
They-
They were excellent. They gave me such time as they had.
Right.
But it was the LPNs, and these are 2 years after high school training. Tough job for a young woman or a man. Well, thank you very much.
Well, you're quite welcome.